2026 is the year that I decided that I was going to vlog my journey of becoming a diversified medic, aka someone who isn't just fulfilled with medicine but has multiple different areas of life that they are working, growing, and strengthening themselves in. I decided throughout the month of January I was going to film content that showed me trying to accomplish goals that would push me closer to the Fajero that is accomplished on different fronts. Hi guys, my name is Fajero. I am a year 1 foundation doctor in the NHS. I've been vlogging my medical school journey since around 3rd year. Throughout the 7 years that I was in medical school, also getting my master's as well, I realized I didn't just want to graduate and become a doctor. I wanted to do things that would accomplish and fulfill me on different levels of my life, creatively, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and medicine couldn't do just that for me. So I decided that as I am doing my foundation training, I would do it less than full time so that I can balance becoming the version of myself that can host events, gather creatives, be consistent online myself, and also build other streams of income specifically within real estate. It seems like I'm doing a lot, right? However, if you know me, you know that I'm going to be very bold and saying that if God has called me to have these visions and dreams of things that I can do, then I strongly believe that I can do all things as long as He's with me. I set a challenge for the month of January to film myself trying to achieve some of my goals that are going to push the needle forward. Without further ado, let's get into the content. My plan for 2026 in terms of goals is to be more intentional with how my monthly goals fit into my 5-year, 10-year, basically big picture, who does Fajero want to be life. I think last year I was very much taking a fragmented approach, an approach where it was just bottom up, like let the goals build the life that I want, but then I need it to be a trickle down approach from now till forever. Let the lifestyle, not lifestyle alone, but like the legacy that I want to leave on the earth trickle down and affect the habits and the lifestyle that I really want to invest in today. And so that's how we are going to do 2026. But the goal of my content this year is to really take a focus on who I am becoming as I'm achieving these goals. I want these videos to show that I can be accountable to myself, to the public, to people who are following on this journey with me, but also because I'm really interested in showcasing effort and giving effort its PR. That is my thing for this year, is giving effort its PR. I really want this to be a public diary of the effort that it takes for goals to be accomplished. Passion, career, and legacy are the 3 main overlapping Venn diagrams in my life right now. For this month, my Venn diagram looks a little bit like this. 1, it's finishing a course, 1-day script, and writing a full audience persona for Called to Content. 1-day script is a course that is basically going to help me to develop better scripts for my videos, and also for Called to Content when I do produce ads for the mailing list. Second goal for this month is creating a list of 10 people that Called to Content could have an event in partnership with in 2026. This is also part of, I guess, passion, reducing that Venn diagram picture of the things that I want to focus in 2026. And this is super important to me because I've decided in my heart of hearts that I foresee CTC having 2 events in 2026, right? And in order for me to get to that stage of really planning and giving myself a good amount of runway, not just the 6 or 7 weeks that I gave myself in order for CTC Refresh to happen, I really need to be intentional about the people that I'm communicating with and people that I'm surrounding myself with on social media, so that I can be in the better, I guess, headspace to contact people on the lead up to these events. And that is all my goals for the passion side of my Venn diagram. In terms of my, I would say, career/entrepreneurship, it is having 5 conversations about property. Having 5 conversations about Leisure Estates Limited, and really just being intentional about creating environments where these conversations can really thrive. It's a really small goal in the grand scheme of things, but I actually think it's going to position my heart to receiving advice, to receiving direction for the rest of the year, which is something that I genuinely need. This is also related to my creativity, and this month's goal is to get back on the creative bandwagon with content. I've fallen deeply off of my creative consistency. One thing that I really want to challenge myself in is to create more talking head videos, like literally speaking to the audience, like me and you one-on-one. Script, edit, post 5 videos, which are 60% talking to the camera on my social media platform. Basically, 4 of them will be short form content, and 1 of them is definitely going to be a YouTube video. And that, ladies and gentlemen, summarizes my January brainstorming session. So let's begin with talking about how I did with my property goals. Guys, I'm going to fulfill one of my first goals, which is to have 5 conversations about my interest in properties. I just love the whole concept of renovating and bringing life into a place that looked dead, dusty, crusty, and nasty. I love that concept. I feel like I do that a little bit in medicine, in terms of like seeing somebody go from a really horrible state of health to a better state of health. And this kind of theme of just seeing new life breathed into a place is, of course, in Christianity as well. I think it gets up wrong with me. And so in order for me to break in without me seeming like this is a mountain I need to climb, I just need to start conversing about it more. And today, I'm finna do that. This is going to also open up further conversations I will have with people who are already doing what I want to do. And yeah, just give me a space to just network and be a little investor. This wasn't my first time attending a property investors network meeting, but it was my first time attending one of these in Canada. So there was a bit of nervousness and excitement about how I would interact with everyone, but everyone was lovely, and I definitely took the bold leap of faith in introducing myself to the crowd. This girlie actually did so well today. I'm super proud of myself. I can't lie, I took away so much from the PIN meeting. I took away contacts. I also got a lot from what their 2026 forecast was. And he was basically saying like everything property has to be high end because there's so much average out there. Average HMOs, average rent to rent, average service accommodations, average property investors. And the only thing that's going to distinguish you or make you stand out or even just give you that bump up in what you will earn from your property business is if you provide high end value. Something that I just definitely even just relate to, like excellence is a virtue, excellence is a value, excellence is the right of the believer. As someone who believes in the fact that, you know, they're called to do things to a God standard, like you have to do that excellently. I definitely resonated with that message and just really enjoyed my time. I can safely say that for my property goal this month, I'm off to a good start. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that tuning into property trainings as soon as I got back from work or on my days off were easy. They were actually kind of difficult to strike a balance with. But I knew I had to persevere because the benefits were more than the cost. I just finished conversation number 3. We are actually doing a lot better than I thought we would be doing in terms of this like goal of speaking more about my property business and really just getting it off the ground. So yeah, 3 out of 5 conversations done. And I've also booked myself into a property deal finding course at the end of this month. As someone who is balancing medicine alongside this passion to get into property, that shift of changing my mind and mentally and physically investing money and time into it, especially something as big as a huge chunk of my weekend, including sacrificing going to church that weekend, it was definitely not comfortable, but that step was a requirement because it filled me with courage, enabled me to connect with some like-minded individuals, but also connected me to resources that I'm still using to this day. Just put a framework into my head as to how I can make property work for me. This goal initially was just to have 5 conversations about my interest in property with investors or just attending networking meetings. But more than that, I developed a strong sense of clarity and purpose in how I could develop a strategy around property. For my goals about call to content, things went a little bit more slowly. I definitely feel like for category 1, which is finished 1 day script, I'm almost 80% done through the course, which is really, really great. The thing that's been on my mind is to create 2 separate documents, one which is for call to content and another one which is for Leisure Estates Limited, my real estate company, that I will basically flesh out a business plan for both of them and really just develop the marketing script and the advertisement script / lingo that I want to be putting out on the platforms in regards to both of them. Similar to my real estate goals, the more I set aside time in this month after work or during my days off to work on call to content, the more I developed a strong sense of clarity about it. And I'm working on this brand brain document. This is actually one of my core objectives before the end of the month. This is actually to make sure that this document is finished. So I'm actually on the halfway point. So I'm on the problem solution framework and I've been working on this, like what problem is actually being solved by CTC's existence, and actually being able to break it down verbally in words that I'm writing out. It's actually given a lot of clarity because I do feel strongly that we are in a create in silo epidemic. A lot of people just want to grind and hustle and produce results that at the end of the day, you ask them, how did you do this? And their response will be like, oh, I just shut myself away from the world for X amount of time and I did this. And that transformation is great on paper, but what it does lead to is that isolation, being stuck and trapped in your mind, being stuck in this feeling of like, you know what, even if I'm the one causing the problems, I can't get out of it because I've decided to shut the world away and focus on my grind. And that creating silo effect is what I was definitely stuck in. The Lord had continuously encouraged me in terms of the content that I wanted to do. My creative blocks were so much more difficult to get out from because I rarely spoke to people. I rarely engaged in community. I didn't have a community. I didn't have a community of creators or people who I could actually just maybe come to an event and really just break down the fact that, hey, I really am struggling to show up because of this XYZ. See, the more that I've actually been pushed and pushing myself to create instances where I am challenged to speak up about what is difficult about my creative journey, this has actually birthed the need like to actually have something like CTC exist. There are so many reasons, of course, why CTC is actually needed, but I just had to, of course, like write it down in the document and just label it. Yeah, it's given me a lot of clarity in it, and I'm really happy that I'm doing this. This is where there's a little bit of a pivot. Most of that time that I set aside to develop the brand brain for CTC, I actually felt like more of my interest and energy was spent towards my real estate document. So that business plan that I was creating, which I did manage to finish during this month. And this is one of the things that I'm learning about handling different priorities, is that your focus can shift, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing, but it means that you can come off with less of one goal accomplished and more of another accomplished, which in this situation was the case. The second goal that I'm going to talk about is like the creating a list of creators that Call to Content can work in partnership with this year. Guys, I've not done that, not even looked at that. Now listen, the goal was 10, but in reality, I had one meaningful conversation about CTC with someone who I actually genuinely wanted to partner with. Just one. But this one conversation has turned into a partnership that has driven a lot more meaning into what CTC aims to do for creatives. And for that, I'm actually very grateful that I had this goal. Yes, I will always be a big dreamer. And yes, I will always say and wish that I can do 10 times more than I probably physically can do. However, with partnerships, I'm definitely learning that it's less about the number and more about the alignment. It's easy to chase numbers because 10 sounds impressive, but building something meaningful often starts with one very intentional relationship. So I consider this accomplished, even though it wasn't in the way I intended. Now, let's talk about my goals in regards to content and showing up online, specifically TikTok and YouTube. By the middle of the month, all I had to say was this. Even though I have not posted a single video on any social media platform other than the one that I posted like on the 2nd of Jan, we're gonna do better. For the next 14 days, 15 days, you are gonna see that I'm gonna be consistent. Okay, I'm gonna scratch that. That I'm a post. What looks consistent to me as a doctor is not what looks consistent to me as a student. And I think I'm trying to reduce those expectations while still maintaining some level of expectation for myself. And that's a tricky balance to be in. But we're in it. And we're gonna yield fruit. Honestly, speaking clearly about the process, where I'm going, what life is like at the moment, is very much like eating humble pie, because it's making me confront the reality of the unfinishedness of my life right now. However, this is so vital because I don't want to be just that person that posts about the highlights, the great things, when the goals are accomplished. I also want to be someone who is very consistent about showing the process and the journey of getting there. And that takes vulnerability with showing up online. I can safely say this goal was definitely not accomplished. But it is the start of doing something that is very novel to me. Speaking to the camera, developing a relationship with my audience, and actually growing in a way that's intentional and integral. And it's what we love to see. At the end of Jan, the very first thing that I had to say about this entire process, filming myself, has been tough. Most of the time, I actually just feel like I need to get better at holding this camera or get a smaller camera, because I feel like carrying this hunk of a beast around is not necessarily feasible. So I wish I could have vlogged more. But that's okay. I guess we live and we learn. We're just getting back into the swing of things, so it's going to feel like that. But also, secondly, I feel like it's also been a good reminder of how brutal work is, and doing anything alongside of like a job that takes the majority of your day and the majority of your energy. And to do anything other than that is just like, no, in a few minutes. I'm going to head into an accountability session that I host with my girl Alexis. We've been doing this for a few years now, and this year we're taking it up a notch. The stakes are staking. Okay, we really are proving to ourselves, because we're starting afresh in business this year like never before, that we are committed to our goals and our dreams, and doing it together is equally as exciting as it is like trepidatious, because we want to succeed, but we know that the discipline and every single thing that it's taking, that it's going to take to get to that level, is going to be a lot. That's what this journey is for. Let's head into our accountability session. I think I was just conscious of how much I was doing this month, like in terms of good things. Like I was really trying to put my back into like attending all these networking events.
I had to push myself a bit more because I knew that I was capable of more as well. And I think, you know, that saying where it's like a task will take as long as you, like however long you ascribe to it. So I was like, if you say this is going to take you 2 days, it's going to take you 2 days. Baby girl, you can probably do it in a day. In an hour. It's a good start to the year. As of today,
I love that.
the business has been registered. Okay.
Vlogging my process throughout the month of January taught me that it's less about the checklists and the ticking things off, and more about the process, specifically identity, who it's making me become. I became someone who writes business plans and completes them instead of just speaking about the ideas. I became someone who shows up at networking events and courageously introduces themselves to an audience who knows nothing about them, someone who publishes instead of overthinking the video. So even though I didn't complete everything that I planned, I realized that I was becoming more intentional and more strategic about conversations, relationship, and my investments. These are the intentional efforts, and these are the identity switches that I need to continue to make. This is truly the real movement from A to B, from where I am to where I want to be. Less arrival and more becoming. Thank you for tuning into this video. This is probably not going to be something I do every single month. However, I want to highlight points in the year where I am actually visually tracking myself accomplishing different tasks. And I would love to know how often you guys would love to see these types of videos as well. So let me know what your highlight has been, what your tips or encouragement has been as well, because I also would love to hear anything that is going to help me stick to my goals as well. Without further ado, I will see you guys in my very next video. Bye.